Hello guys, so in the last video we saw what is GitOps and what role does Argo CD play in GitOps. So this is going to be a hands-on tutorial for Argo CD, and we're going to see how exactly to deploy an application using Argo CD in our Kubernetes cluster. So let's get started. So before we do the full hands-on thing on Argo CD, let's try to see what Argo CD is, and let's try to understand what application are we going to deploy. So Argo CD is basically a tool that watches for the updates in the Git repository. So it checks that what is the version of the app we want to deploy and other Kubernetes configurations. So if it sees any configurations have changed, it is going to apply those configurations against the Kubernetes cluster. So rather than just applying the configurations, it also shows that what is the state that is checked into the Git and what exactly is the current state that is applied to the Kubernetes cluster. And you can see that on a nice UI. So here is our project which we are going to deploy from scratch to Argo CD, but let's look at the end state that we'll get. So at the end, like after we do everything from scratch, we will have a project which would have two applications, which is Argo CD learning bar app. So this could be, you can like, for me this is an application, right, but it could be microservices or anything like for you. And the other application is the foo app. And if I click on like the bar app, so for the bar app I see that there is a service and a deployment. So this is the service that is running and this is the endpoint slice. And for the deployment, I did like 3 deployments to it, right? So we see that what are deployments that we did. So this is revision 1, revision 2, and this is the latest revision. And we see that the latest revision is live, and we see like 2 pods basically. And if we try to see our foo application, so in the foo application we see that we have a service similarly and a deployment. Again, like I have the revision 1 and the latest revision is live here, and which has 2 pods, and we can see that everything is synced okay, means the configurations that are present in the Git repository match 1-to-1 with the configurations that are deployed on the Kubernetes cluster. So the foo and the bar app are pure web applications which are deployed to the Kubernetes cluster. So one is deployed on foo.jomo.click/node app, and here we have a counter which says hello world 1. From this is the pod name, and then from foo app. So basically the foo and bar app are very similar projects that are deployed. The only thing is, like, foo app says that the app is foo and it prints the version of the foo app, and this is just a counter. If I reload, the counter is incremented, and if I see bar, and then now we see, I'll just increase the size similarly, so it says hello world 2. From this is the pod name from app bar and the version that is deployed for the bar app. So here is the simple architecture of our application. So we have the traffic that comes in from the top and hits route 53. Route 53 maps it to load balancer, which is basically an ingress, and based on the host it's going to send it to, like, if it's foo.jomo.click is the host, it's going to send the traffic to the foo application, which is on the left. And if the host is bar.jomo.click, it's going to send the traffic to the right, which is the bar application. And like here I've represented 3 pods, but we saw that we were just running 2 pods, and if we update the deployment, we can increase the number of pods which we want to deploy. So now you know what is Argo CD and how does our application look like. So let's see what exactly we're going to cover in this video. So in this video, we are going to first create a new cluster from scratch. We're going to install Argo CD in it. We're going to create a project and application in Argo CD. We'll see that how exactly it maps to the code of our foo app and the bar app. Then we're going to do some updates to the foo and bar app, and we're going to commit them, and we'll see that how exactly Argo CD applies those updates to our Kubernetes cluster. So I have my IDE open. So we have basically 3 Git repositories present in it. So the first one is the bar app, and here is the foo app, and then this is the configuration which refers to the bar and the foo app. So we'll first create a cluster, and for creating a cluster I have all the commands already ready with me. So here is the make file, basically makefile is an easy way to execute the commands. So all we'll be doing is we'll use ekscuttle to create a cluster. So I've been creating these clusters in like a lot of my videos, so you can see one of my previous videos to see what ekscuttle is like and how and other details about the cluster and all. So here is the cluster configuration which we have. So this is the name, and basically it has two node groups, and then they are of this type. So let's execute the first command and then try to create a cluster. So it's going to take around 10 minutes to create the cluster. So let's meanwhile try to have a look at the foo and the bar application. So here we have the bar app, and the foo app is exactly a carbon copy of the bar app. So basically this is a plain Node.js app. So we're creating a server, and here what all we do is we return like hello world. We say what's the counter. So basically we're incrementing the counter based on some logic, and then we say that it's coming from this app and this is the version. So exactly same is the foo application. So if you go to foo app and we look at index.ts, it's the exact same thing, and the version we have kept it as same, but when we commit it, if we commit it to the foo app, it's going to be a different version. If we commit it to bar app, we can change the version there, but starting now they are of the same version. And here we have the deployments. This is the foo deployment, which tells that we are going to pick this container for the deployment, like this is the version that we're going to use. And similarly in the deployment of the bar, we mention what is the container ID, like or the version which we want to use for the bar app, and this is the environment variable we declare which needs to be used as the bar. So other thing very important to note is that we use ArgoCD to deploy our apps, but we use some other continuous integration tool to build our apps. So for me, I'm using Circle CI to build my application. So basically in bar app and also inside foo app, I have a Circle CI folder which Circle CI looks at, and then here is the configuration which I've declared there. So the way to build that application is I start from a base Docker image, and then I check it out, and then I run yarn install, and then I install YQ. I'll show you what YQ is. It is basically to update YML files very easily. So I run docker login because we need to push the Docker image and all, and then we configure SSH keys, which is basically used for pushing our new commit and all. And this is the git configurations which will be used on Circle CI. So this is the important thing, which is the make command. We use make commit circle update, right? So this is how like we build our image. So if we look at this command, this again tells further like how exactly the application is built. So this is the command that we're executing. So it depends upon this command. So and this command, which is like update key, is deployment is depend upon Docker push. So everything starts from here. So first is we note down the commit ID, which is the latest commit ID where our code is, and then we do Docker build. All Docker build is doing is it's tagging the image, and the image name which it takes is Robin Nagpal / ArgoCD learning app, and the commit ID, right? So this is the image name it tags with, and then it pushes the image name to the Docker repository. After it takes this image name, it also needs to update the deployment that hey, that I have pushed the latest container and this is the image that you need to use. So if you look at the deployment which we have here, and here this is the same commit ID which we are referring to. So if we look at a makefile, right, we use YQ to update this location, which is spec, and then we have a template, and then spec container image. So we say this path and update our image name, right, to whatever is the image name which is used here. So this is how whenever we push the repository, latest commit is used, and the container image that is newly built is added in the deployment, and then we commit it. Basically we say git add dot, we say git commit -m. So and we give like the commit message, and we push this to our repository. So our container is up and running now. So I'll just set my context, which is the container context. So again, like when I use the make command, it further uses this command to set. So my new context is set. So now I need to install some ingress controller and all. This is basically to expose my application on HTTP, like to the outside world. But this part is not part of this, like covering this in detail is not part of this video. So I'll quickly execute these commands, but we'll start from here, which is setting up of the Argo CD. So now we're done with setting up of the basic stuff for ingress. Let's get started and install Argo CD on our cluster. So all of these steps that which I'm going to do are also explained on Argo CD's website, which is here. Like you go to getting started page, and then you'll see all of these commands, which is creating of the namespace, installing of this manifest file which I've downloaded, and then forwarding the ports and all. So everything is all same, but I've noted down these commands and I'll run them using make commands, right? So the first one is make argo install, which creates the cluster, and then it runs the manifest file. So if we look at the manifest file here, so here you could see that we run a custom resource definition, which basically declares that we're going to use a type of an application, right? Or we're going to use a type of an Argo project and all, right? And accordingly, it's going to run a controller which will listen on these changes. I'm just sharing on a high level, but you don't need to get into these details. So we have now installed Argo CD, and let's try to hit it on the browser and see how it looks like. So first, in order to access it, we need to forward our local host to the Argo CD's port. So you need to execute this command, which is kubectl port forward, and then this is the server you're trying to connect. Like basically this is service, and so now if we try to access localhost 8080, so we say proceed, because like it just sets up a self-signed certificate, right? So here Argo CD is installed, and it does not have a username password. So the default username is admin, and the password which you need to get is from here, like using this command, which is Argo CD and all. So this is also there on the getting started page, and it would also be there in the code, which I'll put in the description below. So you need to say Argo get password. You get this password, and then we fill in here. Oops. So right now nothing is deployed, right? Everything is fresh. By the way, if you're liking the video so far, please subscribe to my channel and hit the like button, because it motivates me a lot. So now we need to install like our application in Argo CD. So the way, like if we see, this is the main folder which has the Argo CD project and applications. So this is the default project. Like this is the project which we'll create, and basically we apply this through kubectl, all of these configurations, and then this is the project, and we have two applications. One is the foo and the bar app. So if you look at the foo app, right, so this is the place from where it needs to get the code, and if you copy this and we put it here, so we see that our code is present here. So it's going to use the customization.yaml, which is present here, and it sees that all the resources are present in K8s folder. And if we go to K8s folder, So it sees that's going to run this customization again, which has this deployment and the service. So this is how it knows that it needs to run the deployment and the service. And when we look at the deployment tells that what is the exact image version or the container number which we want to deploy. And whenever we commit to the repository, we already saw the Circle CI files or our continuous integration, which will update the image number, right? So here it tells about the foo application, and similarly we have another file which tells about the bar application. So I will be checking in the code, like you can just have a look at this file in detail. Again, like one project we create, and then we create two applications which refer to that project. So let's try to apply this. And again we have a command which will basically apply all of these three things together. So we have make Argo project, make Argo create project. So it applies all of these three things, which is the project, and then it applies the foo and the bar application. And now if we look at Argo CD, so we update it, so we see that it's going to create the foo app and the bar app. So if we click here, so we see that it's going to create the deployments, and you can see it on the UI that it is going to pull the images and all, and the deployment is in progress, whereas the service is created, right? So, and the same, you could see the updates and all happening for the bar app also, which is here. So you get like the real-time updates as they're happening. So right now our stuff and all is already deployed, and let's try to also apply our ingress, which will help in accessing our application from outside. So after I apply the ingress, we see an application load balancer is created, and I already mapped the route 53, so in order to be able to access it. So we'll have to wait like maybe a minute or two in order to be able to access our application. So I'll just put the video on hold for now. So we see now our application load balancer is up. So if we see bar.jamo.click, we're basically hitting the bar app. So here I also hit it a couple of times, so it shows that we are deploying the bar app, right? And similarly the foo app also works. So again, like if we see, the applications are deployed here, both the bar app and the foo app. So let's try to increment the bar and the foo app versions in our code. So I'll try to change the foo app code. So here we have let's go to the bar app, and I go to index.ts. So the bar app I'm going to increment to 1.1.0, and the foo app I'll increment it to 1.0.1, right? So let's commit both of these, and also we're going to see like the Circle CI build and all, like how exactly they are built on Circle CI. So here is our application like that is built on Circle CI. So this is the foo app and this is the bar app. So let's commit both of them, and then we'll see that both of them would be built. So I'm just going to make a commit like so update versions, and I'm just committing it from my IDE. You could just commit it from command line also. So here it asks me that what are the repositories I want to push to. So I'm going to push to both the foo app and the bar app. So my latest code is pushed now, and if I look at the foo app and the bar app on the Circle CI, I'm going to reload these projects. So you see like a build is triggered, and if we look at what happens in the build, so if you look at the workflow, so it's going to first build the Docker image, and we can exactly see what are the commands it executes for building the Docker image and all. So first it prepares like it checks out this code. It says yarn install right? And then it says Docker login. So then it says git config. Now it's building the image, right? So it builds the image and then it pushes and all, and then it updates the container version. So now if we go to Argo CD and we update it, so we should soon see that it should pick up the latest changes. So it polls after every few minutes and all. So if you want to just trigger it right away, you could click on refresh and it's going to pull the changes right away for you. So I click on refresh now, so it clicks on syncing, so it detects that the deployment is there, and if you see, it has detected there is a new change. So it would be like it is rolling back the old deployment. You see the old pod go away and the new pod is coming up. You see the second pod is going away and the second new pod has come up, right? So the full app, the new one, is getting deployed, and here you can see it is a very nice and clean UI to see how exactly the updates and all are being deployed. You can also see the exact container version that is running. So if I'm just going to increase the size so it's visible, so if I hover over it, it shows me that what is the image that is deployed, right, for both of these pods. So I could be exactly sure about the exact image that is running and the current state and all, and we could easily roll back like if we want to, but anyways, let's not do it, and try to hit the bar app. So we have bar, and now if you see, like, the bar version has been incremented from 1.0.0 to 1.1.0, and if we hit the foo app, we should see a new version there also. So here the version was 1.0.0 earlier, and then in the last commit we had changed it to 1.0.1, right? So you could see how easy it is to commit the stuff and like have Argo CD detect it and deploy it, and then you could see all of the updates very clearly on a single dashboard. So I hope this video was useful for you. Again, few things to remember is that Argo CD is used for continuous deployment, whereas you have to use some other tool to continuously build or like run tests and all for your application. And other important thing is that you should separate out your Kubernetes manifest files in a separate repository, and you should put your application code and all in a separate repository. So in our case, we had 3 repositories, one for Kubernetes manifest files and 2 other, one for foo app, another one for the bar app. So if you liked my video, please hit the thumbs up icon and subscribe to my channel because it motivates me to make more such videos.